hopeless, hopeless. You need to do more than just focus. Realize right here be slow.
You motherfuckers. Destruction, MC crushing when I bust it, destroying all of y'all like a fucking wrecking ball.
Hey, yo, that's that abstract real hip hop. The beats keep coming and the rhymes don't stop. That's that abstract real hip hop. Yo, we might blow up, but we won't go pop.
Damn, it's been how long?
For a long time, man. I don't even remember, to be honest with you, but it's good to get back together. We're Damo hit us up, wanted to do an anniversary show for First Contact.
Yeah.
And I thought it was an incredible idea.
Yeah.
You know, any opportunity to reconnect with Soul Rack here.
Yeah. I'm with it, man. So
100%.
bringing the magic back together, man. Telepath math. And it's been a minute since we've been on stage together. I think it's been like 10 years, right?
Yeah.
But
Maybe even longer, but
we still do our we still do our own thing, man. We're creative, so but it's time. And you guys might get a little surprise too. So me and Cancer met in high school, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
art class.
yeah, art class. So I think I had was it an ad for Upstairs Records?
Yeah, you had an Upstairs Records catalog. Where I'm like, so I'm walking by this desk and I see this dude looking at this, and I see the DJ mixers and turntables and shit. I'm like, what are you looking at? I see, because I always seen like Upstairs Records inside like Source magazine. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I look.
Hip hop heads know about that.
And he's like, yeah. He's like, I have a mixer and a turntable. I was like, oh, cool. So like, want to be friends and shit? Like, I mean, like, I didn't know anybody else that had any, and I was intrigued and like, so full disclosure, the movie Juice is what actually made me want to get a turntable, and
Same.
and I wanted to, at first I wanted to DJ. I never even thought about rapping, and I wasn't. Like, it was you and who was one other person, Greg I think it was, that was rapping
At the time?
Yeah. Like you and somebody else were rapping and I was DJing. Tyreek,
yeah. What's
So
Tyreek, man?
I wrote a verse just like off the, I don't know, I was like, if they like it, they like it. If not, you know, whatever. So I spit this verse to him and he was like, yo, if you don't use it, I will. And that was it. I wasn't a DJ
He didn't know how talented he actually was on the mic. I'm being serious too. So, and then I had a friend from New York. Remember Harry?
Yeah.
Harry from the Bronx. So
Yeah.
this kid was just like immersed in like graffiti and like, you know, he knew, you know, he knew what good was, man.
Yeah, he was all into it.
We had a little cipher going and he got on the mic. And Harry, he didn't give a fuck what I was saying, man. Yo, son, like he was tripping. So, you know, we eventually just got serious about it. You know, we got serious and we got, you know, beats and producers just submitting stuff. And, you know, the way Golden Gloves came about was a friend of ours, Putty. He worked at a car auction, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he came across a cassette that was in one of the cars they were auctioning off. And it was this, you know, Arabic sample. I think it was off like Arabic radio or something like that. But anyway, once we heard the sample, it was just like, it's a no-brainer. You know what I mean? Like, put a beat behind it and the shit's hot. So, you know, it was supposed to be a soul. So we each had our own solo tracks for the album.
Yeah.
He already had his in the bag and, you know, it was done. And then I was gonna do mine and he heard the beat and he was like, there's no way I'm not gonna get on that shit.
I'm like, no. Like, I feel like an asshole now, but I was like, I kind of strong her. Like, I was like, no, you're not gonna. They have something that dope and like.
Yeah, it was real, man. It was meant to be. So we did that.
Good on good.
You know, we put the vinyl out. We you know, we did a bunch of shows at the time. You know.
We did. I think the reason that even people know who we are is the amount of shows that we did.
Yeah, it was more
like,
shows
the
than
actual release.
content.
Yeah, because content-wise, like it's, you know, it's few and far between. But
yeah,
lots of shows.
I think the content came after we, you know, eventually did solo shit. You know, we went our own ways, but like, I would never say the group obviously, you know, didn't disband because here we are.
So I guess the real question of the day is, new music?
Nah, hell no. Of course. What do you mean?
Yeah, we're cooking shit up, man. And I know some of you have heard that a million times, but it's happening.
Yeah, it's a little different this
like
time.
things are moving. Like people are working. People are, you know, putting time into this. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited. It's been a minute since I've been on the mic.
Yeah.
You know, I've been you know, life or whatever, man. You know, but I'm excited. I'm excited. So what's gonna come out this time.
Yeah.
You know.
It's gonna be a good night, man.
Yeah, so we can't wait to. Yeah, this show is gonna be.
And to be able to do it with our friends is even better.
March 4th. That's what we're talking about.
That's right, March 4th.
March 4th, baby.
HOPCAT.
HOPCAT.
HOPCAT, you got it, man. Tell the Pat Matt.
I mean, depends who you ask, right? I don't know. I mean, Downriver had a lot of people rapping and shit and this and that, you know, whatever. Like, I get it. What? No, that kid wasn't dope. Who? Oh yeah. So I did meet Emilio and Carlos and all them, and some of you guys too, like through Safraz and some guys and Pete. Remember Pete? Remember Pete?
I don't remember Pete.
A bunch of Acid Pete, third ear. My third ear.
Clue Pete.
Clue Pete. Yes. Sorry. You know what? I'm derailing. Anyways, Downriver had a lot of potential MCs, if I can say that. But there were some definite thoroughbreds, and luckily we found, you know, some of them, and we were able to bounce off of each other and this and that and whatever. What? Oh, yeah. So make some noise for Joe Beats. Yeah.
Lost some weight.
Yeah. Hey, sometimes it's busy, right? Anyways, fast forward, things progress, this and that, you know, you learn what not to do, right? Shout out to fucking Abstrakt Intellekt putting us on every fucking show they had. Shout out to Trolley Stop. Remember Trolley Stop? I think we burnt that place down like 3 times.
And then we're going now.
Oh yeah, word.
For us to burn it down again.
Yes, exactly. Again, there's a lot going on. Like there was a lot going on downriver, and it manifested in a way where people were able to make really good music, and happy to be a part of that. Joe, he's really humble, right? Just soft spoken. It's more of about, I'm happy to do this again. This is like, what's it called? A something. Somebody give something.
Resurgence?
Sure. Resurgence, what else?
Union?
Rebirth?
Reunion. I like rebirth. Anything else? A what?
A reincarnation?
Yes.
Regurgitation?
Yes. Regurgitation. Very guar of you. Thank you. And, yeah.
No?
Bottom line, March 4th. Never mind that. Rising Sun, so, check it out. Of the Rising Sun, and we have some shit coming out. I don't know. It sounds weird, but 3 songs coming out. The Scolari Brothers. If you guys know your Ghostbusters references. 3 joints coming out. It'll be ready March 4th at the goddamn show. Sorry, the GD. But fuck! Yes! That's what we're doing.
It's funny. To tell the story of First Contact, I actually got to go back farther than First Contact. At the end of the late 90s, I was living in Florida working for a couple record labels while I was finishing up school, and I decided to come back because I wanted to give this music thing a go. At that point, I came back. I knew that that's what I wanted to do, but I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, if that makes any sense. So I just kind of jumped into a studio out here and started cutting songs, a little local studio, Ground Zero, Danny Diamond, what up? We just started cutting songs, and I ran into this guy, Bobby Knox. Bobby Knox, shit, we're kids, we're running around in the bars and whatnot, and, he got to rapping, and, we started doing some songs together, and, at that point, I realized I wanted to take it a little bit farther, and, he just wasn't on the same page for as far as his goals were and whatnot. At that point, he introduced me to Mike King. I actually, I met Mike King, and, we kind of had a chemistry right off the rip, and, we got together and started working on a couple things, and the first song that we did was The Abstract. He brought that song to Mike Clark, and Mike Clark and Greg Riley immediately signed us to, put out First Contact. It was a different time, you know. At that point, we were going to do a couple of records for him or whatever. Didn't end up working out, but that's a story for a different documentary. We went through that process. You know, it was kind of a really weird time, you know, because Mike's big project was obviously the Insane Clown Posse, so we were kind of having to fit us in when those guys weren't on tour. So it really became one of those things where it took a long time, and you know, it was a little frustrating in the process. But you know, at the end of the day, we really created a classic, I think.
First Contact, 20 years, crazy. Like, so me and Damo got together. I've been working with Mike Clark for a long time. Just met him through kind of a common acquaintance or whatever, through like Insane Clown Posse. Got to work with Mike. We got the opportunity to make a record. We hadn't made a ton of content before we got right in the studio and started working on our album. So it was like we were really getting to know each other through the song making process on that album, right? Like that was, I think when we got the beat for the Abstrakt, which was like the first song we did for the album, we got it off the internet, right? Like Syntax.
Dale Chase.
And I remember, I think I played it for Carlos. I think I played it for Carlos, and I was like, dude, what should we do on this? And he's like, dude, you got to do something sing-songy, like that follows that melody. And that's why I was like, it's the Abstrakt Intellekt. Like, so, that was like kind of like set the pace for like, that was the intro for the album, right? Like, so doing that, and then it was like, okay, well, like I think at the time, like I grew up, like I remember talking to like Joe Bruce, right? Like, so Joe Bruce was a big fan of like the Ice Cube album structure. And he said that like Ice Cube kind of took like all the classics kind of have the same structure, right? Like you have like a song that's like that introduces the album. You have like, and then you know what I mean, it all has a flow to it. Same thing, like Michael Jackson albums had that same kind of like progression through the album. So I think that's what we tried to do, right? Was like, hey, where does this song make sense in the album? And then we got to work with a lot of cool ass people, right? We got the, you know, like Cancer's on the album, Dime's on the album, Hush is on the album, along with some internet cats. I think like Copyright was on there as Power Bar. Like we had like we had like, you know, like there's a lot going into that album, and I think it was just really cool to try to find ways to make it all work together, right? Like how do we make this, all these cool things that we have at our disposal, getting beats from like, we got beats from DL Jones, we got beats from Hush, we got beats from Mike Clark, right? And then it was cool watching like Mike take a beat, Mike for like Pens and Needles, Mike took a Hush beat and then started out with his whole beat and then built another beat on top of it. And just made it like, if you actually like, you know, I think we were just talking about it, right? If you listen to that song, you don't even like, you gotta listen to it in headphones because you don't even understand like all the shit that's in that beat. It was a weird, like, that was a very fast paced time period, right? From like, you know, that was early, 2003 it came out, right? So I think the album, I think we finished making it in 2002, right? So, being in the scene, like the Detroit hip hop scene, like in the early 2000s, it was crazy because in the late 90s, it felt like it was something that was never going to happen, right? It seemed like there was all this talent, but you know, it was never going to click, right? Like we didn't sound like New York, we didn't sound like LA, we didn't sound like Atlanta, like, you know what I mean? Like we didn't sound like New Orleans, right? Like all these places that had a scene, like we had our own sound, and it was very much kind of built around this dysfunction that was Detroit, right? Like that's why Insane Clown Posse because we were all the misfits, right? That's why they had success, right? Because as much as everybody wants to discount them at this point, like not being hip hop, like that was M's music has, you know, influenced by that. Like just the sonic scape that Detroit traditional music has is based on that, like that darker kind of like almost poking fun at itself side, right? Like we were the kids that were never going to make it, and we were surprised if anybody did. I think it was cool. Like it was weird because late 2000s, we were like all into like backpacker hip hop, right? Like was it Rhyme and Reason? Like watching those movies, watching the show. Like, you know what I mean? Like New York were the gods, and then we didn't have anything. We had open mics, and we had the hip hop shop, and we had the shelter. And it was cool, caboodles, right? Yep. Kabuna Blacklisted battle. What up, Super? But then the early 2000s hit, you know, and Eminem got successful, Kid Rock got successful, Slum Village, you know, kind of broke out. Slum Village had a song on the radio with Busta Rhymes. I was like, what the fuck?
Seriously.
Like, and I was like, shit, anything's fucking possible, right? Like, so to be like in the Detroit music scene at that time, like late 90s, early 2000s, it was crazy, right? It was like you never knew what was going to happen. I think it also made things a little more tense, and like, I think there was the competition that drove creativity. But I think there was definitely probably a little bit of crabs in the pot thing going on too, because there was only so many spots. But no, it was definitely a very cool time. And I've always been a fan, right? So like the first thing, I'm not afraid to like I'm not going to stand somebody, but like I'm a fan of like everybody in this room right now, like pan around, like everybody in this fucking room, I'm a fan. I remember going to the hip hop, Proof and Eminem and fucking IQ. Yeah, IQ and all those dudes, right? Like watching them freestyle and going like, oh, I'm never gonna be that good. But like, what the, like you didn't know at the time that those like the best people in the world.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Like
this is like, the bar.
Right.
This
it's
is
like
the bar.
Not knowing the presence you were in like makes you better because you try to like. It's like, wow.
You're surrounded by greatness. You're like, well, I'm never going to be as good as that guy. And like, years later, no one's as good as that guy.
Yeah. You can still be like 10 in the world and not be as good as that guy.
Like, it's like what a crazy standard we held ourselves at. Like,
we didn't know.
Because
well, I mean,
we knew we were surrounded by greatness, but we didn't know that we were surrounded by greatness that would be recognized by people other than our fucking area.
Right.
And to, years later to see that, you're like, God damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
To watch that happen.
You know, growing up, you know, in the early 2000s, and the music scene out here was really unlike anything that I've ever even heard of. I mean, we would go out to Rick's Bar on Telegraph, and at any time there would be, you know, Proof and Obi and the Fat Killers and all, basically a who's who of hip hop that was out there just hanging out and, you know, just a fellowship. You know, it was really something that was a camaraderie that developed over the years that was really something special. I mean, nobody was there on some rock star shit. Everybody was just, you know, you're just one of the guys at that point, you know. So all those people that I met, you know, I still, you know, keep in contact with, you know, a good portion of them to these days. And, you know, just to have that level of talent around you when you're, you know, in this game for so long is just, you know, it's amazing. You know, just to be able to, you know, contribute a very small cliff note to that, you know, is something that I'm really proud of. And, you know, I'm going to keep, you know, carrying the flag, you know, for, you know, as long as I'm able and as long as somebody is willing to listen, you know, I'm going to keep doing that, you know. So outside of that, I mean, I don't really know. I mean, it's kind of one of those things that you do, right?
I always wanted to like work with people that I enjoy their shit. And the coolest thing for me is that I've gotten to do a ton of that, right? So I've gotten to work with all these dudes, and they're some of my favorite people. Like any genre of music, that's like that to me. That's awesome. So 20 years in, I'm glad that we got to do it. I'm glad that on March 4th we get to do it again.
Like, I remember like being in there, like, yo, you'd rhyme freestyle about everything in the goddamn aisle.
In the dog food aisle.
Yes.
This is like 1994.
Yeah, and like I didn't know what like a freestyle rhyme was or like this. I was like, damn, this kid's just killing shit.
Everybody from Detroit was like, dude, these guys are fucking awesome.
Yeah.
So we learned to freestyle like they pretended to freestyle. Like, we didn't know they were spitting writtens like the whole time. We're like, these guys are just dope. And then like come to find out, like, no, they just
It was written.
put written shit out as
written,
freestyles.
yeah.
So that's how I attribute like all the like the hip hop shop kids as to getting as good as they did, because we were fooled by New York. We thought New York cats were doper than us, when in fact, I mean, they probably were, but they weren't that much doper than us.
Right. But you say like you were cutting your teeth, like.
Yeah,
right?
We learned to freestyle because we thought everybody could freestyle. Like, we thought that that's what you had to do.
Yeah.
But that was before any of us.
We're talking Food Ranch, baby. Food Ranch.
Food Ranch.
94? 93, 94.
You guys, and this is important because you guys actually made the blueprint for Downriver.
Sure.
There wasn't a blueprint when we wanted to do shit, so we thought the only place to go was the city.
Right.
So that's why we became that's why we were known in the city, because that's where we went.
Yeah.
We didn't think to start shit here. You know what I'm saying? Like, we didn't think about it, but that's where you guys came in. And
It was funny. We were getting ready to open up for Tech 9, and we were there early for sound check, and I was standing outside on the steps, and the infamous Paradigm van pulled up, and Hex jumped out, and he came up, and we just started talking a little bit about things, and he was like, Damon, what are you doing here? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you guys got a fan base out there. Go cater to that. And I kind of took that advice, very serious, and I thought about it for a while, and I was like, you know what? I mean, we got a lot of people out here. We might as well, dig our feet in and really try to make something happen in our own market instead of trying to cater to the already oversaturated market that Detroit hip hop was. So at that point, we set up shop out here, kind of tweaked our image a little bit, and just started putting out records at that point and playing all the time. We were playing every 3 months. Down here, downriver for a long time. We may have just carved our own little niche out of this whole thing and just, cemented our flag for our own hometown. I mean, there was people out here who were doing it, but nobody really serious, and really nobody there who's still even doing anything. So
you guys started, like, making noise downriver.
And
then-
that was demo, right? Because I had the same idea you did. Like,
Following what you guys have done, you gentlemen in this room, right? The same fucking way. You know what I'm saying? Like, following and understanding what a craft is, and bars, and integrity, and just, this is Detroit, and this is what we do.
And it's important to point out that you individually also created a blueprint and started doing things that other people weren't doing, and they started following your lead as well.
Thank you.
So it's interesting to see, like, different aspects and different perspectives on the same thing and different approaches.
But he said something really important for Detroit. I know you guys know this, but it was about the craft. It was never about the business plan or the marketing or the this or the that.
Yeah.
It was about, that's what M respected. That's what the 9, that's what he, Tech, that all of us. It was about the craft.
Everybody talks about their big movements, right? The South had the movement, East Coast, West Coast, New York, this or that. But as far as sustainability for, talent and material and artists coming out, I mean, Detroit hip hop has really been, a staple in the hip hop scene.
Telepath fucking math, right? That's why I'm going. Okay, never mind. So I'm in a group called the Rising Suns. Fucked up, right? We're playing that night too, but never mind that. And yes, I'm there for Abstrakt too. I'm here to see fucking Telepath math, god damn it, right? When Golden Gloves hits, I'm gonna get thrown the fuck out of the whole HOPCAT. And I'm sorry, I keep saying the F word. I'm sorry. Okay, but this is what's gonna happen. All right, this is real life. This is real life shit. Okay.
So March 4th, 20th anniversary of First Contact. I mean, I can't believe it's been that long, and I can't believe we're still out here doing this. I mean, to be still relevant and still have, I mean, hell, anybody checking for what you're doing after 20 years in the music game is really a humbling thing, and I just feel lucky to be a part of this scene and, grow up with the talent that really just came up around me. So March 4th at the HOPCAT in Detroit, we're bringing on Telepath math. I can't say enough things about that. I mean, Telepath was playing when I was living in Florida, so I never even got to see them play. So this will be my first time. So that's another component of the night that makes this really special. I mean, and the Rising Suns, they've been our right hand men for a long time. It was always Abstrakt and Rising Suns pretty much everywhere we went for 100 years. So there couldn't be a better lineup. I couldn't even think of anything that made better sense than doing this.
Detroit hot shit.